Hello, and welcome to the Evidence-Based Exercise Rehabilitation and Sport Performance channel. This channel is designed for the healthcare movement professional looking to incorporate applied research concepts into their current practice setting. Today's topic, complexity gaps. The objectives of this discussion are to have you reflect on your current exercise programming practices, introduce you to movement complexity gaps, and to have you identify movement complexity gaps in your own practice. For those of you who are recent graduates or even a working veteran in your field, we all have a set of particular processes that guide us on how to best design programming for the populations we serve. As a healthcare professional who's been teaching in higher ed for the past 20 years, I have witnessed firsthand working with students and colleagues who vary in their abilities to create, monitor, and adjust their programming. A common thread that many individuals face isn't necessarily learning material, it's how to apply it. Movement education tends to center around a traditional model that encourages memorization over application. And this cut and paste process, or playing the name it, blame it game, often leads to extremely varied and sometimes no results. For example, we're often taught in most of our textbooks that X diagnosis should be given X therapeutic rehabilitation, and it's generic. Another example would be to increase someone's strength. Do these exercises, do this many sets, do this many reps, and this will get you an increase in strength. These are very generalized statements. If we're only providing a label to a problem or goal, what do we come away with that's useful in creating measurable change? When we have little experience with said problem or goal, how do you go about addressing the challenge? Do you seek out best practices, or do you fall back on what you know because it's easy and it's comfortable? Applied anatomy and physiology is often left out of this traditional model. Instead of only asking what it is, do we ever ask ourselves why it is? What are the contributors that may have led to injury or dysfunction or decreased performance of a movement capacity? A successful programmer assesses, critically applies, reassesses, reflects, redesigns, and then repeats the process. Let's take strength for example. Strength exercise is commonly utilized for performance, injury prevention, and rehabilitative outcomes. Wanting to increase a client's strength level is a very generalized statement. Generically applying X amount of sets and reps to an individual doesn't identify why the injury, altered movement, or current level of performance is present. If we don't identify what specific strength components or deficits to address, how can the appropriate exercise programming parameters be constructed? Unfortunately, this is a very common practice, often utilized across settings of exercise rehabilitation, sport performance, and the fitness industry. What we're doing here is simply putting the cart before the horse. Dependent on your clinical experience, background in research, and the values of your patient population, all clinicians have gaps that exist in addressing the restoration of movement complexity. It is our goal here at the channel to provide you with a thought process that you can use in your day-to-day practice that is purposeful, measurable, and outside the restraints of the traditional plug-and-play model. To accomplish this task, we'll be using peer-reviewed literature and discussing how to extract applied movement exercise principles that you can incorporate into your current skill sets. For many, this may be a difficult task, and as with all things, there's going to be a learning curve. It takes time to adjust, looking through a new lens. Reflection on this process is paramount. I challenge you to pause this video and take a moment to think about the manner in which you tackle programming that is new to you. If you enjoyed the content and would like to see more, please subscribe and join our community. Now that we've laid some groundwork, in the next video entitled The PST Process, We'll outline steps to facilitate a thought process that is based around application of evidence based principles that can be used by any movement professional. Thanks for hanging out with us today.